Hello everyone, my name's Stonesy Boy and welcome back to Reading with Stonesy. I'm sorry that yesterday, we didn't post a reading video. I actually had to fill in a filler video because I just wasn't in the mood to do anything yesterday. I was just kind of like, you know what, let today be today. I kind of feel the same way about today, but in this case I'm kind of forced to because I don't have any extra videos. I mean I do, but I don't want to do not two reading videos in a row. After all, it's my new shtick. Anyways, today we're reading 18 pages of Five Nights at Freddy's Tales from the P-Packs number 2, Happs. And we're starting with a new character named Billy, which I've learned his name is Billy because I tried to record this video before, and because of the constant intrusions, I was not able to. So yeah, without further ado, let's begin. Sitting on a blue braided rug, cross-legged with his back against the big gray sofa in his family's living room, Billy snatched an oatmeal cookie from the plate his mom set on the low coffee table in front of him. He took a bite and looked eagerly across the room to the TV. "It's almost time," he shouted, spewing cookie crumbs over his skinny bare legs. "Don't talk with your mouth full," Billy's father said. Billy grinned up at his dad. "Sorry," he said, spraying more crumbs. He giggled when he realized what he'd done. His dad shook his head and ruffled Billy's hair. Then Billy's dad took a seat in the sofa next to Billy's mom. He picked up a newspaper and opened it wide. The paper crackled and Billy's dad cleared his throat, like he always did, and then he started to read the paper. Outside, the neighbor's dog barked. That meant it was getting dark. The dog always barked when it started to get dark. Billy liked these always things. He's only 5 years old, but he already learned about the world to be a scary place. When he was 3, he got really sick, but he had lots of awful needles stuck in his back, and he had to be away from his parents. It was terrifying, and he never knew something like that would happen again. Always things felt like kept getting bad surprises away, but always things happened. Billy would call himself everything was okay. Billy's mom reached out and turned a big blue lamp sitting in the end table next to her. The lamp filled the room with a yellowish light. He nudged Billy's dad. "You know, if he set a better example," Billy's mom said, "he wouldn't do that." Billy's dad said. It's always, if you talked to him while he read the paper. Billy wasn't sure if his mom meant about being better example, but he didn't care much. All he cared about right now was that Freddy and Friends was about to start. "Like father, like son," Billy's mom went on. Out of the corner of his eye, Billy saw his mom elbow his dad. "You always talk with your mouth full at dinner, and you get revved up about work," Billy's mom said. "You two are like peas in a pod." Billy didn't know what that meant. His mom had said that a lot of times, most likely on Billy's 5th birthday. "You look and act more and more like your father every year," his mom had said to Billy the morning of his birthday. She'd been helping him get dressed. She'd been looking over his head to get a full-length mirror on the back of the bedroom door. "You two are like peas in a pod." Gazing at this reflection, Billy had seen what his mom meant, sort of. With brown hair that never wanted to lay down quite right, small brown eyes, a round nose and cheeks, and a wide mouth, Billy did look like a shrunk-down version of his dad. He didn't look like a pretty blonde mom. He just looked like his dad. He didn't really think he acted like his dad, though. This dad wasn't home at much. He went to an office and worked all the time, and then he was home. He usually either reading a paper, watching sports on TV, or sleeping. Billy did a lot more stuff than his dad did. He thought the only thing they had in common was TV, and they watched different stuff. For instance, his dad never wanted to watch Freddy and Friends. Billy gazed at the TV when the Fazbear Entertainment logo filled the screen, he bounced up and joined down on his butt. "It's starting," he squealed. "We're switching to a game in 15 minutes, Billy's dad said. Billy's mom picked up a magazine and started flipping through it. "Oh, good grief, Dan," she said. "Let him watch a show. You can miss 15 minutes of your precious game." Billy's dad said something in response. But Billy didn't hear the dad's words. Billy's too focused watching Freddy, Chica, and Bonnie eat pizza and talking to the camera on the wall above them. "Who do you think is watching us?" the cartoon Bonnie on the TV said. "I don't know, Bonnie," cartoon Freddy said. "Let's go see if we can find whoever it is," cartoon Chica said. On the TV screen, Bonnie jumped up and grabbed his guitar. "Not until after we play a song," he said. "Okay," Freddy said. He pulled out his mic and started singing. Billy watched, fascinated. Billy liked all the animatronics, but Freddy was his favorite. Freddy was brown like Billy's hair, and Billy was the one in charge. Billy liked the idea of being in charge. He liked the idea of being a big animatronic too. Animatronics were robots. They were strong, and they knew they did bad things like real people did. It would be nice not to feel bad things. A commercial for Freddy Fazbear Pizza came to the screen. It showed one of the real animatronics in the middle of a performance. Billy grabbed the TV remote and jumped to his feet, pretending the robot was a microphone. He started dancing and singing to the top of his lungs. Billy's mom laughed. She put down her magazine and clapped her hands. Billy's dad lowered his paper and watched Billy perform. "I'm an animatronic," Billy shouted. Billy's mom and dad smiled and nodded. "Okay, Billy," they said in unison. "You're an animatronic." Billy began marching, stiff-legged, around the living room. He stomped hard as he walked, rattling the lamps and the end tables of his mom's knickknacks.
Billy plodded over the entryway, right over the living room. He yanked coats off the coat rack and grabbed the rack, pretending it was a microphone stand, pulling the stand over. He bent his waist and sang into it. On the TV, the show returned to the screen. Billy dropped the coat rack and trudged back over to the coffee table, pretending to be like Freddy the whole time. He sat back down on the floor again, but he did it as if his arms and legs were made of metal like the animatronics. Arms and legs. He put his legs straight out in the front of him instead of crossing them. He liked how it felt to move like that. It made him feel big and powerful. It made him feel like nothing could hurt him. The next morning, Billy stomped around the stairs in the kitchen. He was still being an animatronic. He liked being an animatronic. Keeping his back very straight, Billy sat on the round table in the mom's yellow and white kitchen. Morning sun peeked past girly flowered curtains covering a big windows by the table. Billy looked outside, and a loud voice was robotic as he could make it. He said, "It's a pretty day. I want to go to the park after school." Billy's dad walked into the room. "Why are you shouting?" he asked Billy. "I'm not shouting," Billy said loudly. "I'm a robot. This is how I talk." "Oh," Billy said. "Okay." Billy saw his dad raise an eyebrow at his mom. She made a fluttery gesture with her hand. Billy's dad sighed, making a chair next to Billy's. Billy sat, Dad accepted a cup of coffee Billy's mom handed him. Billy's dad took a sip, then sat really straight and said, "Oh no, I think my coffee has fried my circuits." He made a bunch of sputtering noises that sounded like a radio between stations. He then went stiff and had his head fall forward on the table with a thunk. Billy laughed in a robotic, "Ha ha ha." He poked his dad's shoulder. "You need to go to parts and service if you could be repaired," Billy said in his new robot voice. "I'll have your chair while you are gone." Billy's dad raised his head. "That's a good idea," he said in a deep booming voice. "I will go to the parts and service." Billy's dad got up and stepped over to Billy's mom. "I'll take my coffee to go and pick something at work," he whispered to her. He nodded and poured his coffee in the travel mug. "How long do you think it's going to be animatronic?" Billy's dad asked, still whispering. Billy's mom smiled over at Billy, gave her a big smile back, exposing his teeth the way animatronics did. "He'll get bored of it with it enough," Billy's mom whispered. Billy wondered why they were whispering. He could hear everything they said. Animatronics had very good auditory sensors, and they didn't get bored easily. When Billy's mom took him to the kindergarten class after breakfast, Billy marched into a bright, colorful room filled with playing kids, and he announced, "I am an animatronic." He pretended that this made of metal, and he walked over to his friends. Two of Billy's friends immediately started acting like robots too. Clark, small and red-headed, made a good robot. He walked with his arms straight out in front of him. He spoke in a mechanical voice. Peter wasn't as good at being a robot because he moved too fast and bent too much, but he too did a pretty good robotic voice. "Robots will take over the world," he announced. "Robots rule," Billy agreed. Billy's friend Sadie didn't like that Billy was a robot. She tossed her back pigtails, put her hands on her hips, and said, "You're not a robot, Billy. You're just being dumb." Billy stomped over to Sadie and pushed her. "I am a robot. You cannot call me dumb." Sadie ran for her teacher, Miss Froswick, who was very tall and short hair, would have been a good animatronic herself, but Billy in a timeout. It wasn't a real timeout, though, because she didn't turn him off, and as long as the animatronic wasn't turned off, it kept going. So Billy sat in the corner in the kindergarten classroom, and he sang. No matter what Miss Froswick said to him, he didn't stop singing. Miss Froswick got very upset. Billy didn't tell her that all she had to do was switch him off because he didn't want to be switched off. Billy didn't tell his mom that he would be switched off either. Then she gave up early. All he did was stand tall and straight while his mom walked with Miss Froswick and then left school with his mom, marching to the family station wagon and getting in the back seat. There, he sat bolt upright, his head swiveling left and right. His visual sensors gathered area data of the surroundings and stored it into a processor, which then told him that the sun had gone behind the clouds and it was raining. Billy was glad he was inside the car. Rain wasn't good for animatronics. Then Billy's mom got behind the wheel of the car and turned to look at Billy. "You made Miss Froswick unhappy," she said. "Miss Froswick does not like singing robots," Billy told her. Billy's mom smiled at Billy. "That might be true, but I like singing robots. What do you want to sing on the way home?" Billy thought about it. "I think we should sing a round." He began singing, "Row, row, row your boat." As soon as he reached gently down the stream, his mom joined in. Billy thought it was that his mom liked singing robots. After Billy was done and his mom were through the song twice, his mom asked, "What do you singing robots like to eat for lunch?" "Pizza," Billy boomed. "Pizza it is," Billy's mom said. He glanced at the Billy in the rearview mirror and turned his car to the direction of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. Billy's circuits returned to processing their surroundings. They took note of the passing cars, the birds hopping around their other bushes near the road, the rows of houses along the sidewalk. They filled everything with Billy's memory bank so that when Billy's dad came from work that night, Billy was able to recite the afternoon's events perfectly. At first, Billy's dad seemed surprised at the list of things Billy's processors recorded that day, but then he smiled and said, "Well, let's see what my processors record today." Then he listed all the things that he'd seen since he left the house that morning. It turned out he hadn't seen much. Billy's dad spent the day in the small office. It didn't take him long to list the desk, his shelves, his computer, his windows, looking out of the parking lot, and the pictures of Billy and Billy's mom that hung on the wall. When Billy's mom put salad and chicken on the table in front of Billy and his dad, Billy said, "Robots do not eat salad." "Some do," Billy's dad said. "It depends on their setting." Billy's dad reached out and turned on a switch under Billy's ear. "There, now you're a robot that eats salads." Billy checked his internal system to see if this is true. Apparently it was, but his systems didn't say Billy had to like salad, so he ate it, and he didn't like it. Next day, Miss Foswick was much nicer to Billy. Then he jumped into the classroom. Miss Foswick rushed up to Billy and said, "Hi, Billy, come with me." Miss Foswick took Billy's hand, let her close her fingers over his stiff ones, bending his arms only slightly as he walked with her, lifting his feet and bringing him down as hard as the room's purple and blue rubber flooring. "I made a special place for you," Miss Foswick said. "It's a place just for animatronics." Miss Foswick led Billy back to the classroom, and he sat him at a desk. Big cardboard sign on the desk of the drawing of a robot connected to a cord at a chair. Under the drawing, big black letters sketched across the side. "Do you know what this letter is?" Miss Foswick asked Billy, pointing at the first one. Billy recognized it. "That's an A," Billy said. "That's right, Miss Foswick. What a smart robot you are." Miss Foswick motioned at her teacher's assistant, Miss Harper. She was the opposite of Miss Foswick. Miss Harper was short and had long hair and wore in a ponytail. She's very nice. Miss Harper came over and smiled at Billy. He pulled up her hair and sat next to him. "Miss Harper is going to program your circuits with more letters so you can read the sign at the end of the day," Miss Foswick said. "Does that sound good, Billy?" Billy nodded stiffly several times. It was good for animatronics to learn new things. Billy started singing and learning new things. He sang everything that Miss Harper taught him. While Miss Harper taught Billy, the other kids learned and played like normal. Billy's friends, Clark and Peter, had stopped being animatronics. Instead, they started laughing at Billy. So had the other kids. They said it was stupid that he was still acting like a robot. Billy didn't care that the other kids said, because animatronics don't care about things like that. He ignored the other kids and put his attention only on Miss Harper and when she was uploading his data banks. By the end of the day, Billy knew what the word animatronic looked like in letters, and he knew the sign on the desk said animatronic charging station. Will be your place in the classroom as long as you're an animatronic," Miss Harper told Billy. "I'll always be an animatronic," Billy sang. That night, Billy lay on the back of the bed. He refused his mom offered to curl up with Max. First, animatronics don't curl up. Second, they don't have stuffed teddy bears named Max. Billy lay straight and stiff, his arms at his sides. Animatronics didn't sleep either, so they would act like humans. Billy closed his eyes, but as soon as that, soon. He knew it wouldn't be turned off, so his circuits would reboot. His mom bent over and kissed his forehead. She sighed. "Good night, Billy," he said. "Good night, Mom," Billy said. Billy listened to his mom's footsteps shuffle across the thick red carpet. Even through his closed eyes, his visual sensors picked up the room's light going out. When his auditory sensors zeroed in on his mom's voice, he was standing in the bedroom doorway. "I'm not sure what else we could do at this point," she whispered. "I talked to Miss Foswick, and he agreed to play along. She assigned Miss Harper to work with Billy separately from the other kids." "This is going on for too long," Billy's dad said. "It's only been a couple of days," Billy's mom responded. "Let's give it some time. He'll get tired of it soon." Billy's processor was tired to compute what he might get tired of. He was experiencing getting tired in general right now. His programming was very good. Knew he should be tired and go to bed. He had a very good animatronic. As he listened to his parents talking, Billy's programming began to update. The update was a download of information related to being a little boy. Billy was an animatronic, yes, but he was an animatronic designed to be his parents' son. To be his parents' sons, he had to act like a small child who went to kindergarten and played games. Billy wasn't just a good animatronic, he was also the top-of-the-line animatronic. This meant he would perform tasks by sending a program. He could act like a child and play games. He could do it well. The next morning, Billy stiffly began following new programming. Although he was still limited by his metal limbs, and he could only speak in whole words because that's what the voice box allowed. He started to begin his parents' son. The next morning, Billy stiffly began following his new programming, although he was a little limited by his metal limbs, and he could only speak in whole words because that's what his voice box allowed. He started being his parents' son and being a little kid in kindergarten instead of being a singing robot. His new version of Billy and animatronics seemed to make everyone a little happier, although Billy's friends still made fun of him. Miss Foswick, Miss Harper, and Billy's parents seemed to be pleased an improved version of Billy animatronic, at least for a while. As an animatronic, Billy wasn't aware of the passage of time. He didn't keep track of the days and weeks and months. He did note, however, when his mom stopped talking to him about the kindergarten classroom. "We have my operating specs changed again?" Billy asked the first morning his mom didn't put him in the car to take him to school. Billy's mom, who was making pancakes, turned in front of Billy. "What? You didn't take me to school," Billy said. Billy's mom frowned again. Then she quickly replaced the frown with a smile. Sometimes expressions would change fast like that, but Billy would wonder if his mom was an animatronic too. "School's out for the summer, Billy," his mom said. Billy ran through his circuits. He discovered his program and needed another update. "What does a Billy animatronic do when it's not school?" Billy asked. Fun things, his mom answered. I would need you to input a list of those things so I can operate right, Billy told her. His mom put a plate of pancakes in front of Billy. Start with eating pancakes. That's fun. Billy lifted a fork and cut into the pancakes. He acted like it was fun. Vera pulled on her green cotton nightshirts and watched her husband, wearing his favorite baggy PJs, pull back the covers and get into a king-size bed. He switched to his brass lamp that sat on his nightstand. Dan looked at Vera. We have to do something about Billy. Vera turned back to the covers on her side and got under the sheets and leaned against her plump pillows. She didn't answer Dan at first. She just surveyed her lovely bedroom, decorated with a neutral beige and brown tones. Their bedroom was a calm oasis from the stress of everyday life. She decorated the room herself, and she took pride in how comfortable and soothing it was. It wasn't soothing to her tonight, though. I know, we have to do something, Vera finally said. Oh, how she knew. It had been over 6 months since her sweet little boy had stopped being her sweet little boy and instead it started acting like an animatronic. And picked up the TV remote, and she didn't turn on the TV. If I'd known that show would have effect on him, Dan said, I would never allow him to watch it. How are we supposed to know? Vera asked. It's just a silly little show. I have half a mind to sue Fazbear Entertainment, Dan said. Vera turned and glared at Dan. And how would that help, Billy? He asked. It doesn't matter who's responsible. What matters is taking care of him. Why can't he like sports like a normal boy? Dan asked. Vera slapped his arm. Every child is different. I keep telling you that. Not all boys like sports. Dan sighed. He told her with the remote. And you're still sure that is going along with all this is a right idea? Stan asked. Vera shrugged. I remember Dr. Lindstrom this morning after Billy had asked me to input a list of fun things. I'm not sure I have much faith in Dr. Lindstrom, Dad said. He's been seeing Billy for 4 months, and it's not helping. I don't think child philosophy is a precise science, Vera said, but she assured me again that this is kind of make-believe that's perfectly natural for a kid Billy's age. I bet she's never heard of kids walking and talking like a robot all the time for 6 months, Dan protested. Vera chewed her lower lip. Well, no. But she said he did treat a kid who pretended to be an alien for over a year. And why did he stop? Dan asked. Dr. Livingston wasn't sure. He just started acting normally again one day. Vera reached out for a tube of lotion. He slathered some on her hands, inhaling the lotion's soothing lavender fragrance. In a few months, Vera had done a lot of research on how to ease anxiety. Lavender was supposed to be relaxing, and so she now used lavender-scented shampoo, conditioner, and lotion. She put on lavender sachets in every drawer and closet in her room. Lord started complaining about it. Apparently, his clothes smelled too much like lavender that his co-workers had started teasing him about it. I wish Billy would go back to normal, Dan said. Me too, Vera said. Billy found he was very good at meeting the fun protocol in his new programming. It was mostly required him to play with toys in his yard and sit in front of the TV. It also included going to the park, eating ice cream, and playing games with his mom. It didn't, Billy noticed, involve spending time with his friends. Billy didn't have friends anymore. Apparently other kids didn't like animatronics. In addition to this fun task, Billy was required to visit Dr. Lindstrom. It had been something that he expected to do for several months. It had started while he was being Billy in kindergarten. For Dr. Lindstrom, Billy's censor told him, was a young woman with big glasses, a bun on top of her head. Billy's always saw her in a pale blue office and held a desk and play area filled with blocks and dolls. Dr. Lindstrom had Billy sit in the play area, and she told him to play with the blocks and dolls. Billy, already programmed for the fun, didn't have trouble with the play. He only had trouble when Dr. Lindstrom asked questions like, why do you think you're an animatronic, and do you remember just being a little boy? These questions were very challenging for Billy Chips to process. They made no sense. Billy always answered the questions the same. I think I'm an animatronic because I am an animatronic. Billy said, I've never been just a little boy. I'm programmed to act like one, and I do that. Dr. Lindstrom asked Billy a lot of questions that required him access to the memory bank. He answered them all. He had a lot of images and information for his memory banks. Nothing, Billy said, though, seemed to make Dr. Lindstrom happy. Billy had trouble making sense of these visits and the serious woman. They were not constant in the function of fun. The two things seemed to go together. Mostly, though, Billy's fun programming was effective. One day, though, the fun protocol ended. Billy's mom took him to another classroom. This was first grade. He said that it was a new school, a private school. None of Billy's old friends were in this school, his mom said. She said he could make new friends. Billy thought she was wrong. He didn't think these kids would like animatronics any more than his old friends did. Then Billy's mom told him about the new school. Billy told her he needed a new download. What task would he be expected to perform? She told him to go to the classroom and learn. On the first day of first grade, Billy's new teacher, a curly-haired woman named Mrs. Cromwell, asked the children to stand up and introduce themselves. Tell us your name and what do you like to do, she said. Billy, auditory systems process as 3 children stood and did exactly what they instructed. I'm Ellie, a little blonde girl said. I like to dance. I'm Vic, a dark-skinned boy said. I like baseball. I'm Terry, a short boy said. I play chess. Miss Cornwell pointed at Billy. Billy unfolded his metal limbs. He stood bolt upright, his arms straight at his sides. I am an animatronic named Billy, he said. I like doing what I'm programmed to do. The other kids in the room started laughing. Miss Cornwell stood. Shush, everyone, hush. Be nice. The laughter died down, a few giggles and snorts. Billy was not bothered by the sounds. He was an animatronic. He didn't have feelings. Nothing bothered him. According to Billy's mom, the new private school had a lot of classes that normal schools didn't have. Billy's mom told him that this would be updating a service before he went to bed. He called the process tucking him in. It was the time when she gave him the information that he required to do the needed next day. They'd be even and had a beginning robotics class for his graders. Billy's mom said, "You'll learn how robots work." Billy knew how robots worked. He was a robot. He knew how they worked. Next day, however, Billy discovered that the class did teach him something. Robots, he learned, needed special oil to lubricate their joints. Billy had never been oiled. He filed away in the information in the databanks. He would go something about it when he returned home after school. For a period of time, Billy wasn't sure how long a time. Billy followed the protocol for the well-oiled robot. He found the necessary oil in the garage on his dad's workbench. The oil was clear and thick. It didn't register as pleasant to Billy's taste sensors, and it gave him sensations that were not only a usual taste, aches in the middle of his head, but he did not keep it from properly caring for his parts. At meals, Billy ate less and less food. In the garage, he took more and more oil. One day, though, Billy's systems malfunctioned. When he tried to raise himself out of bed in the morning, he immediately registered that something was wrong. An animatronic belly pressing pain-like sensory input constricted Billy's internal parts. And that's the freaking weird end of that. That boy eating oil. That's not even a joke. He's straight up eating oil because he thinks he's a robot. Huh. Okay. Cool. I guess. Don't eat oil, kids. Please. Anyways, yeah, so that's it for the day. We should be able to mark this off. Where's my marker? There's my marker. And, whoop! Woo! Okay, the next episode is 161 to 180. The episode after that is 181 to 200. And the episode after that is the final episode. So we are 3 episodes away. So I hope you guys have a super fantastic, wonderful day. If you like, be efficient, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time.